On March 27th of 2019, a jury pronounced the verdict that Monsanto, a company that produces and sells pesticides, would have to pay $80 million to Edwin Hardeman. According to USA Today, Edwin Hardeman, a 70-year-old from California, was diagnosed with cancer of the blood in 2015. Hardeman had used Roundup, a popular pesticide, routinely for over 30 years before being diagnosed. E.G. Valianatos, a worker for the Environmental Protection Agency for over 25 years, and McKay Jenkins said it best when they named the preface of their book, Poison Spring, a country bathed in man-made chemicals. I know from my questionnaire that most of you use chemicals to treat weeds and do not buy organic foods. Cancer, Alzheimer's disease, and Parkinson's rates have grown rapidly in the last 20 to 30 years, and we now know that one of these causes is pesticides. My family has sold organic milk and eggs for over 15 years now, and I've recently done extensive research to prepare for my speech. Throughout my speech, I will explain how pesticides enter our bodies, what the long-term effects are, and what we can all do to help keep our friends and family safer. Pesticides can enter your body 3 ways: by inhaling it, by eating food and drinking water exposed to pesticides, and through the skin. Think of how hard it would be to not inhale pesticides. You would have to walk around in a gas mask in order to do so. Most of the times that pesticides are applied, they are sprayed on the ground in a mist, which means that they are also in the air. If you have ever been on or near a golf course, you have been surrounded by pesticides that have entered your body and eventually your bloodstream. Valianatos and Jenkins also say in their book, Poison Spring, in 1984, an EPA-funded study revealed that golf courses are sprayed with some 126 different pesticides, at least 9 of which have been known to cause unreasonable adverse effects on man and the environment. Another way that pesticides enter your body is by eating and drinking substances contaminated by them, including drinking water exposed to pesticides and eating conventional or non-organic foods. The EPA and its support for chemical companies has tried to say that the small amount of pesticides found on food is not enough to do damage, but they are talking about immediate exposure and damages, such as swallowing a large amount of the pesticides or putting a swab of them on your skin. However, the amount on your food still have effects that are commonly called long-term. Long-term effects might take years to develop, but they're still there and include diseases such as cancer, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. As we found in Hardeman's story, it can take over 30 years for these diseases to develop. We can see by comparing these charts that there is a direct correlation between the pesticide boom in the 70s and 80s and the cancer rates that rose rapidly in the 1990s and the early 2000s. And while you might think that the EPA is doing their job by keeping you safe, doing tests and enforcing their standards, they really aren't. One farmer told Sharon Hart of Michigan State University, "We keep adding pesticides till costs exceed return, same as we did with fertilizers." While some farmers might be really strict about following the restrictions, others are not, as we saw in that last example. The last way that pesticides enter our body is through the skin, which would include sitting on grass that has been sprayed, such as at a golf course, lawn, or park. This would also include washing your hands or taking a shower in water that has been contaminated. Atrazine, the pesticide most commonly found in water, is the second most commonly used pesticide in the U.S. and has been known to cause birth defects, miscarriages, and cancer, not to mention changing key hormone levels according to the Pesticide Action Network. In fact, a small town in Oregon with a population of less than 200 people had 8 women send letters to the EPA after they all had miscarriages. All 8 of the miscarriages happened shortly after the spring spraying season. Pesticides can easily get into the water when they get washed into rivers and soak into the ground, and can enter your body through drinking it and through the skin. Now that you know how harmful these pesticides are, we will discuss what we can do to protect ourselves, our family, and friends from these harmful toxics. The most important thing that you can do is buy organic food. If you see a label that says certified organic with a USDA seal, you can be assured that that product has no synthetic pesticides, synthetic fertilizers, or genetically modified organisms. If the product comes from an animal in any way, such as meat, eggs, or dairy, the animal would have been fed only organic feed. You might have heard that organic by legal standards can still include pesticides, but if you believe this myth, you obviously have not looked up what pesticides organic farmers can use. According to the Electronic Code of Federal Regulations, some of these pesticides are mulches, hydrogen peroxide, liquid fish products, and vitamins. Do not be mistaken that all natural is the same as organic either. This is simply not true, as there are absolutely no legal standards for foods to be labeled as all natural. The third way that we can improve our situation is by not spraying our lawns and fields with pesticides. This will mean fewer pesticides in the air and on the ground, helping to eliminate two of the ways that pesticides enter our bodies. As we learned, there are plenty of pesticides in water as well. We can improve this by buying a water filter designed to take out the pesticides. While these do cost more, they are available and cheaper than paying the doctor bills and better than losing a loved one. We have now talked about the pesticide problem by examining how they enter our bodies, the long-term effects that they cause, and how we can help to eliminate the problem. I encourage you to buy organic foods, use proper water filters, and not spray your lawn to protect yourself, the people around you, and the environment. Now, do your part to pull the plug on this country bathed in chemicals.